I have to admit, like the doubting voice is always there. It doesn't go away, but like work with you gives me some tools so that I can supersede that, tools that I can wake up in the morning and do these rituals. I wake up and I do my little morning habits and I plan my day and I get it organized and I just look at the checklist and I start doing shit, whether I believe I can or not. I just start doing it, and day after day after day, that adds a little 1% at a time, and it strengthens you, and it keeps inching forward. And we always go back a lot because you're an endurance athlete, and I'm trying to become one right now. But it's really hard to, like you always said, it's hard to run 100 miles, but can you run 1 mile 100 times, or can you run to the next aid station? And I really like that about working with you is there's a lot of coaches that or mentors or even financial advisors that I don't know, it just feels like they're so full of shit. Like, did they ever make money being a financial? How does their portfolio look? Like, what the hell are they doing? Or they're just giving me advice what I should do with me. But I guess what attracted uh, the idea of working with you was you actually do this shit. Like you actually do endurance events, which was the way that I found you. And you you've been sharing your goals with me too. Like you shared your morning. So like you're even doing push-ups with me just
Yeah,
because
I
you
was
wanted.
gonna say. Yeah.
So like you're the player coach. You're not just like this guy sitting on the side shouting orders and giving good advice. You literally you're doing this. You have your ritual, you have your family, you have your faith, you have your things that you do, and to me that holds so much weight.
Today we've got a client interview with my client Doug. I'm super excited to dive into this one. Doug, thanks for jumping on, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, let's do this. So, like we talked about at the beginning, like the purpose of this is just to hear about you and your experience in going through the coaching process in hopes that somebody who's watching or listening to this might resonate with it. So, just to get started, can you tell us who you are, what you do, and where you live?
Okay, hold on one second. I think is that better with the light on? Do you like that better?
Sure.
I usually have that light on. I realized I forgot to turn the lights on.
No worries.
Um, so I'm a chiropractor for both people and animals. I live in New York City. I've been a human chiropractor for 26 years and started studying and got certified with working with animals. I don't know, it must have been about 4 years ago now. I'm a big content creator, so I have two YouTube channels, one called Animal Cracker, where I work on animals, and fun name, right? Do you like the name? Animal Cracker.
Love it.
And and then one on the human side where I show behind the scenes sessions with me working on people. That one's called House of Cairo, and I put a lot of effort into those two channels, and then subsequently started doing the same thing for Instagram. I have a people one and a animal one and a people one um, on Instagram, and the same on TikTok, and then also Facebook. So altogether, we have like 1.6 million followers across social media, and we make about 50 videos a month, pretty average. I have a production team in office where I have a social media person, editor, and I also have a remote editor that also puts in 30 hours a week. So we do a lot. And let's see, I also invest in land, but I just started that when we started working together. So that was kind of a new side hustle. And
Yeah.
that's starting to take off from, you know, um, persevering. I think I was going to quit at least 5 times, but you were saying don't quit, keep going. So I think that was a benefit. And I actually, you don't know this, but closed my first deal yesterday. So we
Let's
finally,
go.
I know
Oh
it
my gosh.
took me like 6 months, but it was a big profit. It was a big win,
Oh
more
my
than I
gosh.
thought I would ever get on my first deal. But it was based on a 33-acre piece of land that I found in Tennessee and found, and did I guess is I flipped it. I flipped it is what I did.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Wow.
yeah,
We need to get into this.
yeah. So, but so that's what I do. I'm trying to think what else I do. I'm a new grandfather, and that's exciting for me. My son Max and his wife had a baby a couple of months ago, so that was a big shift in my life to be a grandfather.
Mm.
And I don't know what else did you ask? You asked what
No,
do I
that's
do? So
yeah,
that's kind of what I do.
that's
Yeah.
perfect. And you're
Yeah,
super
oh, and
humble.
animals. So animals, what I do is I work with horses, dogs, pigs, chickens, cows, cats, rabbits, goats, geese. I might be the only guy you'll ever find on YouTube that adjusts a chicken. You'll see a lot of people adjusting horses and dogs, of course. Cats are really hard to adjust, but I think I have at least 30 or 40 videos of me adjusting cats because cats can shred you up. But for some reason, cats let me work on them. Um, I probably have the most videos on animal chiropractic on YouTube. Although there's a guy in Germany that his videos go more viral, but I don't know if he really is trained. He just learned how to do some good cracks
Mm.
and knows how to market better than me. Um, but so I basically on the animal ones I discuss the case. So I'll say here we have this dog today that's been limping, and I have the owners on, and we're talking about it. And then I go, and this is what we're going to do, and we work on the dog or the horse or whatever it is, goats.
Oh my
um,
gosh.
but yeah, it's
Well,
kind of cool.
s-
Um,
so
yeah,
I think that's like a good intro to
yeah.
you, Doug. And I know you're super humble, but you are the best chiropractor in the world, and you have some of the
Ah,
best content that like anybody who's watching this needs to go and follow him on Instagram. It's the cranial like facial
oh
crack
yeah, well I do that
technique,
technique.
and
Yeah, and that's one
some
that's
of the
getting the most. Yeah, it's getting the most buzz now. So I do this face cracking technique where I put a balloon and blow it up really fast with this little like hand pump.
yeah.
And the inside of your face, there's 22 bones in the face and skull that can make up to 64 different joints, and they can crack and pop. And so I put that on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, and now people are flying literally from all over. Every week we have some international person, someone that flew in from Madrid, someone that flew in from Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Peru. Just this is just last few weeks. Frankfurt, Germany, Argentina. So they find me and they fly in and do 2 or 3 days of this technique, and then they fly home. And it helps with deviated septum, breathing difficulties, chronic headaches, sleep apnea, snoring, things like that. And
Yep.
also turning into a little bit of a travel opportunity for me, where I'm
Yeah.
being invited now to come to other countries and work on them. And a lot of this shift happened since we started, working together. So that's been
Yeah.
a
Well,
good thing for me.
let's talk about that.
Okay.
What were some of the things at the beginning that you were maybe struggling with or looking for support on, and what ultimately made you want to start the coaching process?
I think the well, I just thought of two ways to answer that question because one interesting way was the way I found you, but I'll give you the quick answer. The biggest hole in my game would be consistency and and feeling like I can and worried about all my responsive financial responsibilities like debt and all the different people I'm taking care of, ex-wife, a mother with Parkinson's. I have young adult children that need support sometimes, and daughter that wants to get married maybe in the next 2 years that I need to save up for. And so a lot of that was there with the consistency. And but the way I found it was kind of interesting. I've been wanting to do put something big on my calendar. What I mean specifically is like pick a goal that's so big that I couldn't do it without really preparing. So I started looking at ultra endurance events. And to keep this in context, the longest I've ever run was like 5K, which is not long.
Yes.
Um, so I've never even been in a 5K race, right? So the one that I was attracted to was this company called 29029, which is the elevation. That's 29029 is Mount Everest elevation. But you don't go to Everest on this. You just go up and down the same mountain, whether they have 5 or 6 locations, until you've hit 29,000 feet of elevation. And it's a 36-hour event that takes something like most people like 20 to 22 hours of hiking if they didn't take a nap break. And if you take a nap break, you have 36 hours to get it done. And you were interviewed for like on their podcast and mentioned that you were a coach too. So I was thinking, I got to see if I could find this guy's email address and phone number. And I looked you up, and then we had a call. And I was thinking maybe at that time you could just coach me for the endurance event because you did it. And then it turned out that you're like, I'm not doing so much endurance as much as like whole life coaching. And
Hmm.
I thought that could be cool, and we started working together. So that's how I found you.
Yeah. And so um I think it's
Oh,
a really cool
wait,
connection.
the one that I'm doing is not that one. They started a new event, the same company,
That's right.
and this one. So I'm not going up and down the mountain 17 times in 36 hours.
You're doing
Um,
something even harder and longer.
no, I don't know if it's harder. It's just different. But they had this new thing called trail, and in trail you do 3 mountain marathons in 3 days. So day one you walk, hike, or run, or hike, run 26 to 27 miles, and you have from 6 in the morning till 6 at night, and that's the 12 hour, and then they cut you off if you're not done. Most people, I found out, can finish in 8 to 10 hours each day, and then the second day you run a new loop of 26 to 27 miles in a mountain trail. So it's not on pavement. And it's at elevation. I think the lowest elevation is 6,000 feet, and it wanders up to about 9,500 feet. And then the third day, you do another marathon. So it's 3 marathons in 3 days, 80 miles approximately total at elevation on mountain trails where you're going up and down with sticks and everything. So I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I started training already, and I'll get it done. It's in
I'm proud
July.
of you. I'm proud of you.
Yes,
I
yeah, so
know
6 months out. 6 months out.
that's amazing. So you
Yeah.
mentioned consistency was something that you were focused on improving. Was there anything else that you were looking for support on, things you were struggling with at the beginning?
Well, I have a lot of limiting beliefs, and I didn't really even think of that as a term until we started talking, because that's kind of something that you work or help uh, dig out, take a look at, and then face. And limiting beliefs would be things that we have, uh, like ways we doubt ourselves, or ways we put ourselves into a box. We create ceilings for ourselves, and I do that a lot. I feel like I'm really talented at many things. I feel like I'm a good dad and grandfather, and have good friends and treat people nice. But I don't always treat myself nice, and I don't always have confidence in what my true potential could be. And so these beliefs start kicking in, and they overwhelm me. Beliefs meaning like, you can't do it, you're a piece of shit. It's things I say to myself, or you don't deserve this, or you're going to fail again, or you wasted your time, you wasted your money, who are you to think that you could have all of everything you want? That type of dialogue runs in my head, which I'm always fighting against. And usually I can ignore it, but it just keeps surfacing. So, working with you, one of the first things we did was really start to identify that, write it down, take a look at it, and also see if it's really true. So, one of the things you would always ask, is that really true? Like, is it really true that I always fail at things? Or is it really true the things that I want most I never get? And then at first I think, yes, that's true. But if we really dig, I could start to see, no, there's been times that I have had great success, and there's been times that I did get things I wanted so badly. And so what happens with that technique of looking at it is that if it's not 100% true, like if I don't 100% always fail at the things I want most, then that is really a limiting belief, because it's a belief that I'm creating, that's holding me back, that's putting me in a box or shackling me. And if I operate out of that, then I manifest that destiny. And if
Yes.
I really take a look at that might not be true, then what is possible? And if it's not true, then maybe maybe there is a chance for me to have what I want, and and start working towards that. And since we started, I have created a lot of cool things that I think I had limiting beliefs around, and I'm starting to see a shift already, and a lot of promise that these nice things could happen for me.
I'm so proud of you for just breaking that down because that's exactly true. Anybody who's listening to this, you probably don't even realize it, but you have 60 to 80,000 thoughts per day. 80% of those are negative. 90% of those are the same thoughts as they were the day before. So what that means is we're basically just a set of negative thinking patterns and we don't even realize it. And those negative thinking patterns are beliefs, like you said. And so anytime you are not reaching your full potential, it's likely because there's limiting beliefs that are getting in the way. And for you to understand that and to shift out of it and now break through, it just creates a whole new like possibility for like what can happen. And I'm so proud of you. So start to talk to me about like what were some of the most helpful aspects of the coaching process, and then start to talk to me about like once you replace some of those limiting beliefs, what are some of the results that you started to experience?
Yeah. I mean, I have to preface that with like, I feel like I fight for those limiting beliefs like crazy. Like
Of
each week I
course.
come back and go like, oh my God, I can't do this. You know, or my negativity in my head, because I'm like the most positive person you'd meet in public. You
It's
have no
true.
idea. In my head, I'm like losing confidence or I'm feeling defeated some days. But on the outside,
It's
everybody's
not
like,
you though. It's not you
we
though,
love him.
remember?
We love him. He's great. He's positive. He gets so much done. I help empower people all day. I look to help people with pain or animals, that have chronic pain and help them. But inside, I felt, like I just have to like repeat, almost Groundhog's Day. I wake up and I'm like, oh no, I have the same day again. But um, you were asking, so little by little, I mean, I did the exercises. We set up a morning routine, which is something I've always read about. It's not like I haven't heard about that before, but I never do it. And I have intention to do it. But we literally set that up the first day and set up things that were important to me that I would do every day. Some were just really physical ones. Like I picked one that I wanted to do 100 push-ups every day, and I still haven't missed a day. So I've been, and I started.
Let's
I think I started that.
go.
Yeah, so I literally 7 days a week, and it's not that that'll get me in great shape or anything, but it's
Get a
more of
quick
this
let's
mind
get a
thing.
quick flex. Let's get a quick
It's
flex.
more of a
There
mind
it
thing.
is. Yes.
It's that I could do it or I get it done. And some days it's like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm like, oh shit, I got to do my push-ups. Um, I even got out of bed one night. So I'm in bed, I turn off the light. I'm like starting to fall asleep and I go, oh
Oh
my
no.
God, I forgot to do my push-ups. So I flip the light on, I hit the floor, I do 100 push-ups, which for me is like 4 sets of 25. And then I get back in and my heart rate's going and like, you know, and I did get to sleep. So what are some things? Well, that's the question again.
Yeah. So what were
Sorry,
some of the results? So
a little
you
scattered.
talked about the push-ups. Talk to me about
Yeah.
two things you mentioned. One is the land business. That was like something that you'd started. You just got your
Yeah,
first
because
deal.
everything I do is based on my physical effort, and as now I'm you know 60 years old now, and I feel the working physically with people or horses is really wear and tear on my body. So I've been thinking I wanted to have another income that's not based on my physical stamina and how many more years I can go at that pace. So I started studying it and looking into it, and looking at how I could maybe buy land and then sell it at a better price. And so it was something I was studying before I met you. And then I was just trying to launch it around the time that I met you. And just a lot of doubt, like, oh shit, this is another thing I spend money on, and I'm never gonna have my money back. But and I was slow because I'm doing so much other stuff at the same time
Yeah.
and working, 50 hours a week in my core business, which is chiropractic for people and animals. So, it took me time, but I kept remembering how many times, I don't know, a couple of times I was like, I don't think this is gonna be another thing I fail at. And you said, don't say that, you're getting closer. And I was getting closer. It just felt like it was never gonna happen. So actually yesterday, I was saying yesterday, the first deal, when I mean close, like they're wiring me money today. They tried to wire it yesterday, but it was already past the bank. I think they cut bank wiring off at like 5 p.m. But anyway, they're wiring it this morning, so I should have a good chunk hit my bank account in the next couple hours.
How does
So
that feel?
that's how fresh that is. It's yes, well today it's happening today where I get the money.
How does that feel to push through the self-doubt, launch it, prove to yourself that you are consistent, that with time and consistency it can pay off, and that you are capable of it? How does that feel?
It's a big deal. Like it's really special. I mean, I usually thought the only way I could ever do anything is just like to physically grind it out. And this one I had to mentally grind out because it wasn't, I can just go into a room and, even if I'm working with an ex pro athlete, I know how to like move them around and dig my elbow in. And I just go in the room. And I was a wrestler and a rugby player in college and high school. And I just like physically doing everything with my own body. And I'm trying to have a little shift where I'm, maybe creating something where I have to like follow the little details and pay attention and, you know, take my time with things and stay organized and a lot of mental stuff. And that's all new to me. So I feel like a rookie. And so the land thing was an experiment in being a rookie, an experiment and not using my body to like, make it work and and try to use my intellect more in
Yeah.
in in a way. And so there was a lot of doubts around that, whether I could have that, whether I could manifest that or have that in my life. And so it feels good to get one done. So I have one
The
done now.
hardest thing to do, and I kept telling you this, is to go from 0 to 1. It's the hardest
Yeah.
thing to do in entrepreneurship, right? And now that you have
Mhm.
this one, you know the process, and the next one is going to happen a lot faster. And
Yeah.
it only happened because you were consistent, because you kept making the calls, because you kept showing up, even when you were doubting yourself. You didn't let that self, like that inner critic, that judge, Judy, hold you back, and you kept going. And so I'm super proud of you. Now, tell me about one of the
And
things.
I will say too, like I I have to admit, like the doubting voice is always there. It doesn't go away, but like work with you gives me some tools so that I can supersede that, tools that I can wake up in the morning and do these rituals. I, wake up and I do my little morning habits and I plan my day and I get it organized and I just look at the checklist and I start doing whether I believe I can or not. I just start doing it and day after day after day that adds a little 1% at a time and it strengthens you and it keeps inching forward. And we always go back a lot because you're an endurance athlete and I'm trying to become one right now. But it's really hard to, like you always said, it's hard to run 100 miles, but can you run 1 mile 100 times, or can you run to the next aid station? And I really like that about working with you is there's a lot of coaches that or mentors or even financial advisors that I don't know, it just feels like they're so full of shit. Like, did they ever make money being a financial? How does their portfolio look? Like, what the hell are they doing? Or they're just giving me advice what I should do with me. But I guess what attracted uh, the idea of working with you was you actually do this shit. Like, you actually do endurance events, which was the way that I found you. And you you've been sharing your goals with me too. Like you shared your morning. So like you're even doing push-ups with me just
Yeah,
because
I
you
was
wanted
gonna
to.
say. Yeah.
So like you're the player coach. You're not just like this guy sitting on the side shouting orders and giving good advice. You literally you're doing this. You have your ritual, you have your family, you have your faith, you have your things that you do. And to me, that holds so much weight. Um, you
Thank you.
know, there's some saying like that, like who you are is so loud I can't hear what you're saying or something.
Mm,
The saying
yeah.
basically is how you show up in life is so much louder than what you say in life. And so you could give me all this great advice or all these neat little quotes and shit like that. But like eventually I'm like, ah, he's so full of shit. And but you don't, you literally do this crap side
I
by side. You wake up and do your morning. You have your night routine. Mario's like, he calls me on a run. It's freezing out where he lives, and it's like 10 degrees out, and you're like, yeah, I'll be back in like 10 minutes. We'll get on the phone then. And so like, I'm like, oh my, and it's pitch black. It was pitch black when you were running. So I'm like, this guy's
I live
actually
it.
too crap.
I
You
live
live
it.
it.
And
I respect that, you
I think
know?
it's really cool that you pointed that out because when I partner up with somebody, like I'm on your team and we're in this together. I'm in the arena right there with you. I think so many entrepreneurs don't have that. I miss that. So that's like it's really like a team
Yeah.
mentality. So one other thing I
And
wanted to ask about.
I'll be honest with you, because I think you're even younger than your age is somewhere between my son and my daughter. I think we talked about that once. And I
Yeah.
would not that ageism is a thing, but it is for me. Like, I would not work with you if you weren't such a kick-ass player athlete. Like you're a player coach. I wouldn't work with someone your
Yeah.
age if you just gonna like it just had some advice for me. I'd be like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah. You're
I wouldn't. I'm sorry. I know that's ageism, but
no.
I wouldn't have said yes. I wouldn't have signed on.
Yeah.
Um, the
That's
reason
good
I
to
signed on is because you're literally like running into battle with me. And not only that, not running behind me, but you like running ahead. You're like, you know. So I don't care how old you are or how young you are or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, I'm like, holy shit, this guy, like you jump in the cage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
uh,
appreciate that.
I'm impressed. And then I go, okay, if he's willing to like put his ass out there like that, then I do want to hear what he has to say. And
mm,
it means something to me because it has weight.
yeah.
And um, and
Well,
so
thank you for sharing that.
I,
I
res-
want to ask
I,
about
res-
this next one.
I
Like,
respect you so much because you
thank
do
you.
it.
I appreciate that, and I've loved like being in the arena with you. Like I told you
Yeah,
this. I started doing push-ups because of you, and to be honest, I dropped off a little bit. So you're more consistent than me now. So,
yeah,
but I got to ask about this because when we started working together, one of the kind of the dreams that you had was being able to travel. So talk to me
yeah.
about your
I
world
for 20
tour.
years, yeah, for the last 26 years, I just go to the same building in New York City every day. And the building has changed. I've moved locations when leases change and I have to move to a new space. But, I wake up, go to the building, and then at the end of the day, sometimes I wake up, it's dark, and I get home and it's dark. So I don't even see daylight. And we're busy, so I work all through the day. And in New York City, you don't see a lot of grass unless you go look for a park somewhere. So, I kept thinking, what if I could create a way to travel or, have a shift in that also? And one of the ideas was, maybe the lamb business would take off enough that I could, have more time. Not all my bills are being paid from being in my office every day. But uh, since we started working, I had some cool things that manifested from, seeing it and then jumping on it. But so, for example, about 3 months ago, there's this guy, a businessman from Madrid, that flew in to get his nose cracked. And like I said, we're getting international people all the time, but he spent like 2 days, came 2 days in a row, cracked his nose. He said, I'd love to bring you back to Madrid and, set you up in one of my clinics. He's an owner of some clinics. And we did. So he went back, he sent me a message that he was really serious about bringing me out. And he is paying for my ticket and my hotel, and I'm going to work 3 days in Madrid next month, the beginning of March, and I'm also going to get a little vacation out of it. I'm tagging on Portugal to it because I have another contact in Portugal and a chiropractor there. Sorry, my nose itches. Um, chiropractor there in the south of Portugal wants me to work one day in her office, and she's setting up patients for me. So I'm going to work, make some money, get some travel, get out of New York, and that's not only happening, but I'm also on social media. We put out there like I'm beginning my world tour. So
Yes.
we don't have a second place pick, but we're just like envisioning that just to see what would happen. And then my social media person, Louisiana, said in the thing, leave in the DM direct message where else you'd like him to come. People were like, come to Dubai, come to Peru, come to Italy, So
I
we're getting a
commented
lot of.
Iowa. I don't know if you saw this, but I commented Iowa.
Did you say Iowa?
I said
So
Iowa.
yeah, so that's cool. So maybe Iowa,
There
But
we go.
but it's fun just to now, have dream of the possibility of what could be next. And one of them is happening in 4 weeks.
Wow. How does
Yeah,
that
not
feel
even
to be able to
three weeks. I go in 3 weeks. Yeah.
how does that feel to be able to actually live out and experience that dream of traveling and doing what you love and don't doing what you're world class at and getting paid for it?
Yeah. I love it. Also, we already had 21 people prepay. So I have, and we're adding to it every day. A few more come in. So I'm hoping, I'll have 45 people ready for me when I get there. And
Wow.
yeah, so
Doug, I'm
that's
so proud of
exciting.
you. I'm so happy for you. All of
And I
these
guess
things.
the idea would maybe every 3 months I would do this, so or every 2 months or something. I don't know. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
So, wow. I'm so happy for you. So, you've talked about a couple of things. The consistency, the land business, traveling, the world tour. How would you just as you're like reflecting, how would you describe how you personally have changed from the beginning of the process or maybe before to where you're at now?
Well, I mean, honestly, I'm still so tough on myself, so it's really hard sometimes to see. And it's something you always point out to me because I'm so tough on myself, and I deal with a lot of perfectionism issues in a bad way, not in a good way. And I keep thinking my cup is empty, my cup is empty. And then you'll point out like these little things. You'll go like, yeah, but you just booked that thing, or do you realize what just happened? And then I'm like I panic in my head, and it's wild because it working with you is extremely emotional, and I thought it would be all technical, right? Like you're not my therapist. I don't have one, but I've done that before. So it's not like this emotional thing, but it turned out to be very emotional. Maybe that's just what I bring to it. But I thought there'd be like a lot of technique and organization and things like that we do. We do all that stuff. But I didn't realize how much it would be emotionally significant for me. And the reason why is all these subjects are very emotional for me. I want to win. I want to provide for my family. I want to be able to take care of my mother, my kids, my grandson. I want to visit them more. I want to have more time freedom. All these things are really huge to me. They're not little, they're big. They're not only big, they're so they permeate every cell of my body, every freaking day of my life. Those are the things that are biggest for me. So if you think about it, like all the little steps we do are these like I don't know, they're very technical, but they're going into a deep place that's very emotional for me. So yes, there's a technical side to this, but I had no idea how emotional it would be. And I still have this, voice that doubts me all the time in my head. And I still wake up every day, panic, like, how am I going to make this day work? There's so much flying at me, so many clients I have to see and so many things I have to do. But I now have this system in place that you helped me create. And looking back, I am making progress, and I'm getting things done and I'm having breakthroughs, even though sometimes I can't pat my own self on the back. Um, you know, I took
I'm s-
myself out. I took myself out to dinner last night because all the paperwork got signed for that land deal.
Yes.
And I was not going to do that. Like, I live alone. I was not going to do that because I was thinking, oh, well, it's just one deal and it doesn't mean anything. But then I remembered you said, like, going 0 to 1 is the hardest. And if I don't celebrate a big win like that, then it's going to take the importance away from it a little bit. So,
You got to
so I decided,
celebrate the wins. You
yes,
got to
I
celebrate the
decided to
wins.
have a nice evening and do what I wanted to do. And
I'm so proud of you, man. I'm super
yeah,
proud of you. Let me kind
and
of just frame
and
or go ahead.
experience that, and let it sink in.
Yeah. You got to soak it in. And just to kind of put this into context, before you didn't really have the land business. You weren't very consistent. You weren't training for endurance events. You weren't traveling the world on a world tour. All of those things are true now. So
Yeah,
this perspective is you are, whether you realize it or not, you are becoming a different person. And this is evidence that supports that. And it's all because of the work that you've put in being consistent. And it's because of your heart, man. You have such a good heart. That's what makes you the best at what you do. And I just want to encourage you to keep sharing your heart, keep
I
being
appreciate
consistent, and keep going. And thank you for letting me be a part of your journey. I cannot wait to just watch you become an ultra endurance athlete, travel the world, and do all of these things. So I just want to say thank you.
I'm gonna call you when I'm on the mountain.
You better. Yeah.
If I get cell phone reception, I'm gonna be like mile 20. Mario, help! My legs are killing. And you're like, 1 more mile. So
Yeah.
I'm not
You
joking.
better.
I'm gonna call you
You,
and
you
just
better FaceTime
better
me.
you better answer the phone.
Hey, I'll be on call for sure. I'll be on call
All right.
for 3 days. So, um, any um, any pieces of advice for somebody who is at the beginning, maybe considering reaching out, working with me? Any advice for them?
I think first of all, you have to just ask yourself, are you really serious about change? And part of the reason I felt serious was I also felt like I was at the bottom in many ways emotionally and just exhausted, feeling really burnt out and feeling like I needed help to pick myself up and keep trying again because I've fallen so many times in my adult life and it's hard to just keep getting up again. I always do, I always get up, but I thought maybe this time I could have someone that really had my back. And I said that a little earlier in this conversation. So I was really looking for someone that I respected as much as that had a system and knowledge. You definitely have system knowledge, but so do a lot of other people. And to be honest, I don't really respect many people to give me advice. Like I'm just like, I don't give a shit. Like I don't care if they're smart, I don't care if they're rich. If I don't respect them and their quality as a human, I don't want to listen to them. And I like who you are with your family. I like who you are with your faith. I like who you are with your habits and your. There's that. It used to be on my son wrestled in college, and on the outside of the wrestling room was character is who you are when no one is looking, and
Yes.
uh, and I think of you like that, like you're actually that guy, and so I am answering this question. So hang in there. But basically, if you're someone that needs that, then do this program. And if not, then don't do this program because it's not going to be a good fit for you. You have to really be someone that it's time now to start stepping forward one step at a time. And working with Mario will give you a system. You'll know what to do every single day. And you also have to like tap into to why it's got to work. And then knowing he's the type of guy that literally is doing it too. And that's the huge. I keep coming back to that because I guess I couldn't even give a crap if you weren't doing it with me. Not saying that it wouldn't work for other people, but that's who I need.
Hmm.
Maybe because I was an athlete, I want you wrestling with me. I want you in the gym with me. and otherwise I don't respect you.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Well,
I know it's
thank.
blunt,
No, it's
but
good. I like it.
that's what I like. That's
Yeah.
what I need.
Yeah.
And I feel, so if someone's listening, you know, that's the type of coach you are. You give this great system, great technique, all this great stuff to apply, even apps and everything to track. Everything is there, but you're also you're like the lion heart. You're in there, you know.
Nice. Well, thank you,
So
Doug. It has
that's what we're
been,
doing. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of your journey, and thank you for taking the time today. I'm so grateful for you, man.
You know,
I really
great.
care about you, and I'm your biggest fan. So,
And
for
I'm your fan too. I really, really appreciate you sharing yourself with me.
thanks, man.
Yeah.
So for anybody who's listening to this, if you want to reach out, send me a DM on Instagram or click the link below to book a call. And I would love to just have a conversation about how I could help you level up. So thanks again, Doug.
All right. Thank you.